Hey everybody, Garcia here, and today we're going to be traveling back to Andor in order to work together and defend it once again in this cooperative game, The Liberation of Rietburg. Legends of Andor is this big cooperative game with a lot of story and a lot of sort of puzzly elements, with all the players working together to win the different scenarios. This, like I said, is a spin-off with very little story, no scenarios. You just play the same thing over and over. And its purpose, I'm fairly certain, is just to sort of be able to fill in a smaller time frame with a similar feel for folks that enjoyed the original game. Does it do that? Well, hopefully we'll find out. I'm going to go ahead and give you a look at how the game works. We'll come on back after that. I'll give you some thoughts of mine on this one. Here we're going to be taking a look at the game for 3 players. I've already gone ahead and set up. Each player picks a character. They'll begin at this location here with their standee. And then each player gets their cards for their character. As you can see here, there's a couple of characters, another one there. You're going to put one face-down task card at each of these. You'll set the rest of them aside, and there's a nice amount of them. And then you are going to place out some of the other cards, some of these cards here, in the locations by revealing a number of these narrator cards equal to the number of players times 2. So 6 of these I've already gone through. They tell you a little flavor, a little blurb, not great, not very thematic to be honest. But then mainly what you need to look at is this. This one says put one face-up card at 6. They have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then one face-down at location 2. So you'd put a face-down one here. And that's it. And then you go through the next one and so on. So that's already been done, so setup is taken care of. What the players are trying to do together is complete 4 of the task cards. Out of the 6, once we complete 4, we collectively win the game. If we cannot do that, by the time we run out of these narrator cards and need one and there isn't one, then we collectively lose the game. And everybody on their turn is going to do one of 2 things. You can play a card. You're going to pick one of the cards in your hand that look like this, and you are going to trigger that card, or you revitalize, which basically means picking all of these back up. And when you do that, you must first take one of these narrator cards that look very much like the ones you just saw, reveal it, trigger it, and then you get all your cards back. So every card has a few different parts that you may trigger. So for example, this one over here, the very first one, I'll just put it on the top, gives me 3 options if I choose to trigger this card. I can do one of 3 things. I could fight for a strength of 4. I'm also going to get 1 willpower token, which I may use to cash in to bump up my fight. And I can do these things in either order, by the way. So I could take this first and then use it towards that fight, turning it into a 5 instead of a 4, plus any others I've already got. So that's one option. My second option is I can reveal 2 face-down cards in these locations. The top card, just reveal it. And then my final option here is 1 step, which means I can move. They can move from here to any of the other locations. If you have multiple steps, you could move yourself multiple times, or you could move yourself and then move someone else with their permission, of course, to you. Every character, and I'm only showing you 3 here, but there are several others, is going to have at least 1 symbol that's unique to them, or some effect, some power that is different. So this one, for example, has this card right here. That middle symbol there means you may eliminate a face-down card on top of one of these decks. So why are we fighting these cards? Well, you're trying to burn your way through the deck, and once it's finally complete, then you can reveal this and see if you can complete the challenge on it, and then you complete that task. So let's go ahead and go through a couple of turns, all right? So Thorn here is going to go. We have a card face up over here. It's a gore. It has a strength of 2. When we defeat it, we will get 1 gold. So that's very easy. We might just do that. I'm going to go ahead and play this one. I'll do the top effect. Gain 1 willpower. We are going to use a strength of 4, which is plenty to defeat this gore, and we do so. Then we're going to set it aside in our victory pile, somewhere on the table you're going to put this. It's 1 coin as well. And that is it for Thorn's turn there. The next one also happens to be face up, but we have played our turn. Took an action, that card stays face up on the table. We go to the next player, Chada here. And we're going to take a look at the cards. In this case, we have an archer. So a lot of the powers here have to do with gaining the quivers and then using the strengths on those quivers to make those challenges to fight. So, let's see. The strength in this one is 4. The quivers go between, I think 3, and some of them have 8 even. So we could risk it by drawing a quiver now and then immediately fighting with that quiver, assuming it's at least 4. That would be pretty good. So I could also just gain quiver now and use it later on. This fighting card here lets me combine 2 quivers. So that's good. And this one lets me gain a quiver and flip a card face up. So maybe I'll do that. How about that? I'm going to go ahead and trigger that one. And of course all the players would be discussing this. So she is going to gain a quiver. We flip it face up. It's a 4. Keep it in your area there. And then we flip one face up. Well, we're going to flip this one. There we go. And that is it for that character. And then we come to this character here, whose main power really is that they have 4 cards in their deck. Everybody else has 3 starting cards in their deck. This character happens to have 4. That's quite a big advantage. You'll be having to pick up your deck and therefore burn through one of these narrator cards at a slower rate. So, let's take a look here. Fighting's probably a good idea, so let's trigger this top one. Strength of 4 and then 1 movement. And again, these can go in either order. So we're going to fight first. We'll fight this one, take it out, put it in the victory pile. And then the move step, we are going to move to this spot over here. All right, that card is done. We keep going. We are going to, this character is going to play this card and eliminate the top card, that's our face down card from location, so this is gone. We don't reveal it. And some of these are actually good, but through that effect, we don't reveal it. So it's just gone. Now, the player will be able to do one of their free actions. You have a couple of different free actions, but one is revealing one of these cards if there is nothing on it, and you're there. So we reveal that card and we're going to read it. So this one happens to be, the effect is, it's a baddie, it's some big creature there, as you can see, and we have to defeat that creature. It says, you must defeat him. His strength equals the combined strength of all top face-up creature cards at the 6 locations. So he's going to be quite beefy. So right now, this is strength 9. This is 1 strength for every face-up card. And this one is as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 15. We're not going to worry about that one for right now. But we could, because in this game you also have team attacks. When one player chooses to fight a creature, anybody else at the same location can jump into that fight simply by playing one of their own cards. Yes, they're burning that card. That means they'll have to revitalize sooner, but you could do it, and that's how you get to those really high numbers. So that's basically it. Now, a couple of other things I want to point out here. Some cards, some of the really beefy characters are going to give you a friend card. So let's say that, we fight this, whether a single player or a couple of players combined, whoever's turn it actually is, will discard this and then gain a friend from over here. And these friends are going to have special abilities that you can play on your turn. This will be your 1 card play. So while their effects are usually fairly simple and small, they slow down you having to pick up all your cards again. So this will be your 1 card play. So there is that, the friends deck. And then there are also in here, let's look through and find some items that you'll be able to pick up. This is also a free action, by the way. If there's a card like so on top of a pile, you can freely draw one of these if you're there into your hand, just like you can freely reveal these task cards. And they have some special ability. Like I said, that should give you an idea of what's happening in the game. Let's go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. All right, there we go. That's the game. Let's talk about this. I'm going to start with the things I don't like. We'll work our way towards the things I did like, that I found interesting. So the main drawback for me here is the theme and the thematic ties. And this is especially obvious if you are a fan of Legends of Andor. So if you've played that game, I think there is no way that you pick this up and you are not disappointed by the story. All you're getting here flavor-wise is these sort of inconsequential blurbs on those narrator cards. There's just no theme, and this is very abstracted, so that feels like it's missing. You know, the Legends of Andor is extremely puzzly. It's very much sort of a puzzle, right? Yeah, there's dice rolls and there is, different things to immerse you, but it's a puzzly game. But it comes in hand with the kind of a neat fantasy story, and a fairly moving one. It sort of goes everywhere, and that's fun. This one attempts to do both, but really leaves you just to the puzzle. So right there, that's the first thing I'll say. If you want to enjoy this, you better like puzzles. The kind that come with cooperative games, but in this one, even more pronounced. Other things I thought were just okay. The aesthetics. Game's nicely produced. Artwork is nice. Nothing to write home about, though. And again, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just the whole thing, the way it's laid out feels abstracted. This is the castle, this is the barracks, that all is a little, it pales in comparison to Legends of Andor and its gorgeous maps, okay? So the aesthetics, I think, are okay. The ease of play here, I could have used a little more clarification. I wish they would have put maybe a couple of FAQs dealing with timing and things like that. But the game's fairly easy to learn. It's certainly not a complicated game. If somebody at the table knows all the rules and can answer those sort of little timing issues, the game's not difficult. You got 3 cards, maybe 4 eventually, and you play one or pick them all up. That's it. I mean, that is the game, with a couple of small other things. So it's easy. This is a family-type game. Again, as long as everybody likes that style. Now, things I did like, which is most everything, as you can see. The replayability, I think, is pretty good. The puzzle's always going to feel different. This is the game that scales. It's definitely better with 4, I would say, with more. But the cool thing is, it's so light, so simple to run these characters, that I would actually recommend, if you're playing 2 players, that you each run 2 characters. I originally played with just 2, and that was okay. Upon playing 2-player again, 4 characters were run, and that was a lot more interesting. There's a lot more activity on the table. There's a lot more going on. You see the players, the characters can sort of work together and interact. It livened up the game a lot, so I would definitely recommend you do that, even if playing 2 players. Play with 4. So that's good. The game length is great. It's about 40 minutes, which is what it says on the box, which is right, and that's just what it needs to be. The game does not outstay its welcome. There's a nice amount of rising tension as you are starting to burn through those narrator cards. Every time, some new baddies show up, they really get in your way, but then some of the really beefy ones give you the friends, which are fantastic. So there's a nice amount of, the ratio of the length to the activity going on is good. And then lastly, tactics and strategies and luck in the game. Like I said, and I'll say again, this is absolutely a puzzle game, okay? There is always something to think about, which is great. That's what you want. If you like that idea of sitting there thinking on how to fix what's wrong, the order in which things need to happen, the movement that needs to go on, there's a lot of talking in the game, what everybody must do. If you enjoy that idea, you're not worried about highs and lows, then you'll really like this. If you're someone who enjoys the ebb and flow of the games, This game does not have a lot of ebb and flows. It is sort of a puzzle from the very first moment to the very last one. You know, I think the most exciting moment I've had in this game was when one time I played, when it came down to the very end, and we flipped over one of the task cards, and if we could have done it, we would have won. It could not be done, so we lost. That was the absolute, like, that was sort of like in the general flow, that was like an uptick, and then we lost. But the game does not have moments of like, oh, triumph, and oh no, we're getting punished. It just isn't that. It's not there. It's just sort of lining up puzzles and solving them. That sounds bad, I know that. I like that, but not everybody will. Some people are gonna find the game timid somewhat, you know, the experience. It's like the game's shy to reveal itself with grand schemes and broad strokes. There is none of those things, right? So there you go. Now, I do like it, like I said, and I am going to give it a 7 out of 10. That means this one squeaks into a seal of approval. But it is absolutely not a game for everybody, and I think a lot of co-op players are going to find it flat, are going to find it lacking pizzazz, okay? So, there it is. Hopefully this is enough of a dissertation to give you an idea of if it's something you want to try. And I hope it finds its audience. I think it's not for everybody. I think it's not necessarily for everybody who likes Andor. It depends on which aspects of Legends of Andor you like. But I think it absolutely will have an audience. And again, I just hope that that audience finds this game. So there you go. The liberation of, I'm thinking Rietburg or Rietburg. I'm not sure. But either way, 7 out of 10, seal of approval. That's it for me, everybody. I am Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.